Good morning, everybody. This is Diggs. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest, and today we're going to do kind of a intro guide to how I would gear Cloud. I'm seeing lots of questions all over the place on, I'm a new player, I'm returning to the game. How do I build Cloud? So we're going to do a video going over different gear options, esper choices. We're going to talk about his ability set. We're going to talk about what abilities to turn on and off. And the goal is that after watching this video, newer players or returning players are going to have an understanding of how to build Cloud. Let's go ahead and dig in. So this video kind of originated actually from a comment that I saw on a War of the Visions Facebook group, in which someone had posted to the entire group that you didn't need Buster Sword because you had access to Golden Blade. And, I that's not true, first of all. And yes, Golden Blade is a great weapon. But what Buster Sword offers over the Golden Blade is plus 30 lightning attack. That is a modifier on every single damage that Cloud will do, except for his basic slash attack. Now, plus 30 lightning attack is one of the most powerful buffs on a weapon in the game. We have seen over the course of the game elemental weapons coming out like Ice Brand, Coral Sword, Flame Tongue that literally change the environment and the map of the game. Yes, Golden Blade is a very powerful weapon and does give slash attack plus 15 and actually has more attack value than the Buster Sword. However, the Buster Sword will significantly outdamage the Golden Blade, and I just want everybody to know that off the top of the hour, like at the top of the video, like the most important thing. Please get Buster Sword. Now, there's kind of 4 other pieces of gear that I'm going to recommend here and that we're going to talk about throughout the video. The first is going to be Tidus's necklace, and the reason we're going to be talking about these pieces of gear is because they have critical damage or critical hit rate, and that is kind of fundamental to what Cloud does as a unit. Tidus's necklace is only acquirable from the FF10 Trials of Reckoning, so you may not have access to it, but it gives critical damage plus 15, and it also gives very powerful magic resistance. The Shinra's Bangle, which will be coming out with the Final Fantasy VII Trials of Reckoning, is going to give critical damage up, defense penetration plus 10, and crit plus on the critical hit rate stat. It's probably going to be argued that this is best in slot for Cloud by a lot of people. I would agree, and I think everybody should at least be trying to farm 1 or 2 of these. Tidus's TMR, I think, is very important for Cloud, and I think being able to give critical damage plus 30, critical hit rate plus 30 could be really powerful if you are trying to gear Tidus for a critical hit rate build or potentially a critical damage build. And those are kind of the 2 different builds I would recommend for him right now. And we'll kind of get into what the nuance and what the difference is between those, because you could have a hybrid setup. But I personally think that the critical damage build will be better than the critical hit rate build. Status resist from the white marshmallow that you get from raid. This will be showing up all the time, and Cloud already has disabled resistance, so stacking some resistance on other status ailments, especially as Barret comes out with slow. Other clouds are also going to be paralyzing. There's a lot of PvE things that paralyze. This also gives critical hit rate plus 15, which is very high for another piece of gear to put on your unit. So definitely something to consider with Cloud. Now, why are we gearing Cloud to be this critical hit rate monster or critical damage monster? Well, his mastery ability gives critical damage plus 5. It also gives AoE resistance plus 10 and lightning units plus 15 lightning attack and plus 10 HP. His base stats is 68 agility, which is pretty good. The 20 critical hit rate in his kit is very nice. He's going to have 15% slash resistance. He's going to be weak 10% to magic. So already his kit is already geared a little bit towards the critical hit rate side. His limit break is probably the biggest evidence of this, where it's going to break physical barriers on target and decrease critical evasion minus 50 for 3 turns to the target. It's a very powerful limit break. I think in most situations you're going to be turning this limit break off. However, if you are running in guild battles with your Cloud, if you're running in arena, if you're going to be doing Trials of Reckoning content, or you're going to be content where there is a single enemy and you are trying to take them down, this limit burst is going to be pretty powerful. And I think a lot of people have this misunderstanding of critical hit rate and how it functions and how it works. Because critical hit rate plus 20 does not mean plus 20% critical hit rate. It's basically a sliding scale. And this video is geared towards newer players and less experienced players, so I'm not going to get into the nuances of critical hit rate, critical damage, all of that. But it is important to know that this limit break is going to be really powerful to enable your units to critical hit on an opposing unit if you are doing like a single target Trials of Reckoning content. In terms of passives that you set on Cloud, probably the biggest passive you're going to want to set is EX Soldier First Class for that HP 12% and defense penetration 60, as well as having critical hit rate, critical damage as kind of Cloud's archetype. He also has access to this passive ability, which is probably one of the most powerful passive abilities in the game, having defense penetration plus 60. Keep in mind, Shinra's Bangle is going to add another plus 10 on that. You could put Exorcist VC on Cloud potentially for even more defense penetration. This is probably next to the Soldier passive. I would say this is probably the most powerful passive that the game has to offer. You will be setting this on Cloud no matter what. His other two passives, Mercenary and Nightblade Mastery, candidly, you would probably get away with setting either of them. I would set Mercenary just for the move up because I think that's very powerful. You may make an argument, though, that maybe you don't need the move up because the move up would put you in range of Black Rose Helena in guild battles. That is also a problem. But I think the move up is going to be really nice for PvE. In terms of his counters, Reflex should be set no matter what. His primary counter, Predictive Counter, or Predictive Slash, which is his main job counter that he gets for being a soldier, is great. It's powerful. Gilgamesh has a very powerful version of this called Clairvoyant Blade. However, it is only within one space of the unit, and Reflex, Reflex is literally the most powerful counter in the game, especially if you're going in GVG or you're going into Arena. Like, just set Reflex. Like, y'all gonna have to trust me on this one. Having a 15% chance no matter what to take no damage, it can be game changing. When we're looking at his primary kit, there's kind of 4 abilities we have to look at. Now, the main ability is going to be Soldier's Pride right here, which I think everybody kind of gets hooked on, right? Because they see increase attack 40%, restore AP 10 when performing critical hit for allies, right? So that means you're going to get 10 AP back every time that you critical hit on your opponent. This is very powerful, and this is really good incentive to build critical hit up on Cloud. However, I'm going to put the brakes on this because I actually think that building critical damage up on Cloud while marginally getting critical hit rate might actually be more powerful. And the reason for that is because we do have Rapid Chain Kai. And Rapid Chain Kai is a 100% hit chance move. It's a 3-hit strike, and it has a critical hit rate chance of 999. That means it's guaranteed to crit. That also means any critical damage that you have on Cloud is going to be applied with this upgrade. And that can be a significant amount of critical damage, as we will get into here in just a minute. So this move alone, when comparing power levels to Cross Slash, for example, on a critical damage build, when I kind of put my Cross Slash against Charlotte versus putting my Rapid Chain Kai against Charlotte with my critical damage build, I actually found that the numbers were within 500 damage difference. And keep in mind, Cross Slash Plus is a 240% modifier attack with a 25% chance to inflict paralysis, which is one of the highest modifier attacks in the game. And I was almost able to replicate that damage with Rapid Chain Kai, not only building a chain on the opponent, but it's going to be AoE. So for me, when I look at this and when I look at Cloud's kit, I think, yes, critical damage is good. maybe a little bit of critical hit rate, but not full on critical hit rate that probably a lot of people are going to try and build Cloud for. You also have Mega Slash in his kit, which gives critical hit chance plus 35%. Again, you don't want to think about it as percentages, but you know, that's what it's going to be shown as. Very good. Increases that chance to crit on the opponent. Could be used. I think, honestly, if you're running a critical damage build, you might see Mega Slash used a little bit more than Cross Slash, and I bet you it actually could out damage Cross Slash. That's not to be said that Cross Slash is not a good attack. I think there is many builds for Cloud where you could go for a single hit oriented one shot, one kill attack with Cross Slash because it's so powerful. I just personally think it's going to be easier to build critical damage, to focus on Rapid Chain Kai, and it'll be easier to manipulate the AI to use that. Now, taking a look at the two different builds here, you kind of have a critical hit rate build and you have a critical damage build. And honestly, you're probably going to find a happy medium between them, right? Because Cloud at his base has 20. You can get 5 from Guild Statues, 8 from Buster Sword. The Shinra Bangle is going to add 8 because it's going to gear stack with the Buster Sword. When the Guard Scorpion Esper VC comes out, or Esper comes out, you're going to get 7. A lot of Espers can add 7 critical hit rate, and when we get into the Espers, we'll talk about, you know, why the Guard Scorpion might actually not be the best Esper for Cloud. The Guard Scorpion VC will add 13 critical hit rate, and this is where Tidus's boots really become a hybrid option that is really great, I think, for Cloud, because it adds not only 3 critical hit rate, right, because you would be stacking 3 critical hit pieces of gear on Cloud, so you're not going to get the full critical hit rate value of it, but being able to give a buff which gives plus 30 critical hit rate is going to give Tidus 94 critical hit rate. So plus 94 critical hit rate, which means he's almost going to be guaranteed to critical hit. If you don't have Tidus's boots, you could use Cloud's buff Punisher mode, which does give critical hit rate plus 20. There is a case to be made as well that if you are running GVG or Arena, Punisher mode might be better because it also gives AoE resistance to Cloud, which would mean he's going to be able to survive an attack from, say, Black Rose Helena. If you are going the Punisher mode route, you would only max out at 81 critical hit rate. However, if you're running in with an 81 plus 81 critical hit and you're using Cross Slash, odds are you're going to one-shot anything that you hit. Total critical damage, this is probably where people are more interested. You get 5 from Cloud's Mastery ability, you get 5 from Elemental Mastery, you could potentially get more, but that's kind of the cap right now for units. Tidus's necklace or the bangle is going to be 15 critical damage, so that's going to be plus 25 critical damage. Guard Scorpion Esper is going to give 9. Again, not the only Esper that gives critical damage, and arguably there are other modifiers besides critical damage on Espers that are more valuable, which we'll get into. The Guard Scorpion VC is going to give 5 critical damage. Tidus's boots is going to give 30. And then if you are running in a 5-man composition, you can run O or Snow White's Guard for an additional plus 18 critical damage. Now, if you are in a 3-man composition, I would not recommend running O/Snow White Guard VC because you're going to get a better bonus from like Moraga for slash attack up, right? But if you're in a 5-man comp, you could make this work a little bit. So if you're running the Tidus's boots, you'll probably cap at plus 69 critical damage, which is crazy because you also have to consider there's a plus 0.25 modifier, which is base applied for a critical hit rate, so you're applying that 0.69 basically. And if you're running the VC, it would be a 0.87. And keep in mind, right, that the 3-hit slash attack is guaranteed critical hit, and you're going to have, if you are using Cloud's buff, attack plus 40% and gain 10 AP back every time you critical hit rate on the opponent. So could be very powerful. I should clarify here, if you're using a 3-hit attack, you don't get 30 AP back. You only get 10 still. So things to think about there. Now, in terms of Espers, this is probably where people are going to disagree with me, which is fine. But there's kind of 4 main Espers right now, and I actually think it really depends on the content that you're doing to kind of dictate which Esper you're going to set. Universally, Odin is the fastest Esper in the game. Odin also has the highest modifier that you can give to your unit. This is higher than Guard Scorpion, Its modifier, this is higher than Coral's modifier. Stacking Maneater plus 25 with slash attack plus 30 is going to give Cloud plus 55 modified damage, basically. So Odin is literally the most powerful Esper for Cloud if you're going for raw damage. Fenrir, having just gotten his 3-star form, has some things about him that are also very powerful. Fenrir has attack plus 7%. You can get up to magic resistance plus 15, while also getting slash attack plus 30 and stop resistance. I actually think that this is really valuable, and especially if you're going in GVG or you're going in arena or anything, having access to stop resistance on top of the innate disable resistance that Cloud has with plus 15 magic resistance, because Cloud is already weak to magic, could help level the playing field enough to help Cloud maybe survive an attack. So very important. I think you should get Fenrir resonance with Cloud. I think there's a lot of people who would be like, you're crazy, Diggs. You know, I'm just going to use Guard, Scorpion, and Coral. Those are good choices too. But I actually think in a lot of situations, Odin and Fenrir are going to be better. Guard Scorpion, you're going to be able to get slash attack plus 15, lightning plus 25%, right? So that's going to be a 40 modifier. And then if you're critting, that's an additional 9 modifier. So you're going to get about a 49 compared to Odin's 55. Also keep in mind, Odin has higher agility and a little bit higher base stats. So there is that to consider. Coral is interesting in that Coral is going to give attack plus 15%, lightning damage plus 25, and then critical damage plus 15. So I would only recommend Coral if you are going to go kind of the Blade Kai route, where you are going to use the 3-hit chain guaranteed critical hit, because that way you're guaranteed the critical damage modifier from using Coral. Otherwise, I would say, you know, stick to Odin, stick to Fenrir. You know, that's going to be kind of the way to go. So in terms of best Espers for Cloud, you know, Odin number 1, but I think Odin is number 1 on every physical damage DPS almost that has slashing. So, you know, another thing to consider is Maneater's only good against human enemies. Fenrir, I think, is universally good for anything PvP. I think Fenrir is probably the best. I'm actually going to make the claim that Fenrir is the best PvP Esper right now in the game. That might be wrong, but I'm making that claim right now. You know, Guard Scorpion is going to offer kind of that reliable slash attack, lightning attack up, critical damage plus. So if you want like an easy mode Esper to put on, Guard Scorpion is probably that Esper. And then Coral, if you are going the critical damage only route, where you are focusing on Blade Kai, which is the 3-hit attack, and the guaranteed critical hit attack would be, you know, kind of the 4th option. Honestly, any of these Espers would probably be good with him. It's just kind of what you need for your specific situation. Anyway, everybody, I hope this video helped you guys. If you guys have any questions, make sure you put them down in the description down below. I hope to see you guys on stream tonight. I will be streaming. I'm playing Roguebook right now, so maybe you guys will come watch me play Roguebook. You can ask your Cloud questions there or in the comments down below, and have a great rest of your day, everybody.